Well, Kent, you got any plans this spring?
Just waiting for it. No snow on the ground. That'd be nice. But yeah, we'll see if there's some hockey games to watch here. Who knows?
Yeah, the Flames are going to keep fans watching until the very last second because,
Yeah.
goodness gracious, what did we just witness? Down 3-1 after two periods by the grace of Dustin Wolf. The Flames score three times in the final 5 minutes to take a 5-3 win against the New Jersey Devils on the road. A second straight road win. Not where the Flames typically thrive, but wow, Dustin Wolf just shining in his first start since getting the hook against the Toronto Maple Leafs to start the road trip. So it makes the wild card playoff race that much tighter with St. Louis and Vancouver battling it out right now. They're in the dying minutes, but we'll be able to give you an update on that result and what the wild card race looks like in a bit here. But I'm Cami. He's Kent. Thanks for tuning into Afterburner. I see there's a lot of passion in the chat already tonight. So make sure to hit us with the super chat to really have your voice heard and support Youth Centers of Calgary, a place where kids are welcome and accepted as they are, a place where they get a break from the chronic stress that is the reality for many of their lives, and they get a chance to flourish through connection and fun. Before we dig into the recap, what are some of your first thoughts on this game, Ken?
Probably like everyone else, I thought they were cooked going into the third, down two. I don't even know if they've come from behind by 2 goals this year, at least in the third period. So that was pretty noteworthy. And then when that shorthanded breakaway happened, the Dawson Mercer one, I was like, okay, well, this is probably over. And then the big save, and they're back to 15th in the league, which seems to be Calgary's favorite position in the standings.
Bread and butter, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned that save from Dustin Wolf. We have a little bit of a compilation for everybody because he was getting it done in all sorts of situations. The shorthanded breakaway, plenty of odd man rushes, and just some great second beat off of some ugly rebounds in the Toronto game. And he just was not giving up a lot of second opportunities there.
Yeah.
And I know there was a lot of talk about how would Dustin Wolf bounce back after the successful start to his AHL career. He was just done at World Juniors where he won gold as a backup. He comes down to Calgary and gets lit in his first game with the Stockton Heat. But then he bounced back and, he has all-star campaigns in the AHL. And I think this is another example of him just showing that he's a guy who gets back up after he takes one on the chin.
Yeah, whenever you talk to anyone around the team or any scouts that know the player, they say he is really even keel. Like his psychology as well as his, physical talent is one of the reasons he's a great goaltender. He doesn't get down easily.
Absolutely. So it was good to see, the Flames help him out with some run support at the other end of the ice against a very familiar foe in Jacob Markstrom. Oh boy, is there a book on him now sometimes.
He struggled since he's come back from injury too. I watched some Devils fans after the game say they should probably go with Jake Allen right now, which be a bitter pill for them, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think he's now 1-5 since coming back from
Yeah.
missing 11 games with an injury. So, not good news for the Devils. They are still third in the Metro, but they have some pretty serious injuries that they're dealing right now. Earlier, we've talked about Hughes being out, Hamilton out, Siegenthaler out. And this is the second game in a row where the Devils have had a really panicky third period. They did manage to pull out a 2-1 win over Columbus earlier in the week, but they let Columbus get a goal in the third that really let the Blue Jackets back in the game, and they actually got outshot 24-3 in that period. So this might be a little bit of a trend emerging for the Devils as well.
Yeah, they sat back pretty hard in the third period there. They weren't really into doing much. I mean, they got the shorthanded breakaway, but didn't do too much otherwise, and the Flames are all over them.
And Calgary did beat the Devils 3-0 earlier this season. That game had a little bit of a nasty tone, and the start of this game was pretty chippy, not in a fun way.
No.
If that
Yeah, it
makes
was
sense, it looked pretty ugly right off the hop. In the first, we saw Hanley got hurt, hit into the boards at head first from Timo Meyer. That was pretty brutal. I mean, boarding all day long. He was pulled from the game for a time. He did come back. His family was there. You could see like Huska was wondering why that wasn't
Where's the
a game.
major?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, his positioning he was too far off the boards, and going into it head first is dangerous. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yep, tough. And when it comes to boarding, difference between a minor and major, according to the NHL rule book, it's ref at their discretion, based
Right.
on the degree of violence of the impact with the boards. And that's
It's a
pretty
subjective
much,
call, unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way she goes. But after that, Wolf made one of those great saves that we saw with the Devils really swarming. And then we saw Pospisil get hurt shortly afterwards. And that led to some scrums in the neutral zone. And that was off a Tatar hit that definitely got Pospisil in the head, which is unfortunate for everybody here who knows what his history is like with concussions and
Yeah.
just how much that has put his NHL career in doubt in the past.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of Michael Furland, right? He has to play on the edge. He has to be physical, but now he also has to be careful. It's kind of a tough line to for him to toe, right?
Yeah, and then so Flames are 2 players down in the first, and then you have the Devils break through. They jam a puck past Wolf. Now, I've said a few times in some past
Yeah.
games, I think the last one we did was the Avs game where it was 4-2 in the end, and we said, yeah, that score really flatters what Calgary did. It's the opposite for Dustin Wolf's numbers tonight. I think he ends up with an 898 save percentage, but he was better
Yeah.
than that. And 2 of the goals that got past him were deflected off of his own players. This was one of them. Heishier got away from Kevin Ball to get his 29th of the season. The shot gets tipped off of Adam Klapka and goes in. Looked like Meyer might have got a piece, but not the case. But it was a tough outing for Kevin Ball tonight, and this was just the start.
Yeah, the Ball Anderson pairing has been very up and down this year, and this was one of their down games for sure. To the degree that they got broken up in the third period, which they usually don't even do that. But they move. I think they moved Miramanov up, which is saying something, right?
Yeah, he must have Huska must have seen something, and it did pay off in the end, but that was what we were working with through the first. And then in the second, 2-0 Devils after the long screenshot from the high slot. It goes to Eric Holla, but again, deflects off the leg
Yeah.
of Ball. So yeah, that was tough.
And then he was beat off the boards for the third goal against. So, yeah, which was the Devils' most legitimate goal, I'll say.
It was. That was a really great effort from Cotter off the chip and chase, and you know, Ball didn't make the great decision there, and Cotter had the speed, and hey, he made them pay. But
Yep.
the Flames did get some opportunities with some back-to-back delay of game penalties. Don't know how often we've
Yikes.
seen that, but
Yeah.
it was Matt Coronato who's been a fantastic burst of energy for the Flames after slowing down for a bit there. But he spearheads some quick puck movement and throws it at the blue paint. He's looking for Kadri, but it gets redirected by Dawson Mercer. So first 3 goals, all not what you expected, but something that both teams will take. So Coronato's
Yeah.
18th goal, third on the team now behind Huberto with 25 and Kadri with 24 at that point, even though he'd get 25 with the empty netter later on.
Yeah, Coronado, as you said, was kind of quiet for a few weeks there, but playing in front of like friends and family on this road trip seems to have really woken him up. So, I mean, there was that goal, but I really liked him in the third period as well, and he was one of the reasons they made that comeback.
Totally. We mentioned the Cotter goal a little earlier. And then in the third, that's where we got the patented Jacob Markstrom worst timing sloppy Joe. And it was Connor Zary putting the shot in from the high slot and just tips it over him to make it a 1-goal game. And yeah, Markstrom was a little hot after this one.
A new man since coming back from that suspension too. It's a couple of games where he's starting to look like the guy he was before that injury way back when, right?
I'll say it makes the team a lot more fun to watch when he's playing like that. And around this
Absolutely.
time is where we started to see the defensive pairings get shift. We had Bean with Anderson, Balamir, Manov, Hanley, Uyghur. But it was Blake Coleman kind of taking the defensive position for Miramanov's big goal.
Yeah,
Let's
it
take
worked
a look
out.
at that now. Yeah.
Back to the point it goes, though.
Was what really gave Calgary the juice late here. Like,
Yeah.
this is less than 5 minutes remaining. On the very next, Huberdeau ties it up seconds later. And it was,
Yeah, like
again,
15
Coronado
seconds later.
bringing a lot of energy up there. He draws the defenders all kind of converge on Matt Coronado, and the puck drops back to Huberdeau, and he's just able to rip it for goals a minute apart.
Yeah, or Markstrom.
Yeah. But I think that crowd in Jersey needed to get. And we did see once Markstrom got pulled, he was a little hot under the collar after a frost high stick might have got missed, maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, what you gonna do? And then, yeah, Kadri gets the empty netter for his 25th of the season. It's very much call an ambulance, but not going to release tickets for playoff games early. But like St. Louis did it early.
Yep.
They dropped single game tickets earlier this week. And it's like,
Ooh,
I wonder if that gets in
bold.
another team's head.
That's confident. Okay, good for you, I suppose.
Hey, you gotta be. But according to Money Puck, Calgary's odds of making the playoffs go up to 26.6 tonight with the regulation win against New Jersey.
Yeah, I think they have the Blues north of 40% last time I looked, so they're kind of the favorite out of the Western race.
Yeah. Would you go back to Wolf for this last game on the road trip now, or are you going back to the shuffle after seeing a great game from Dan Vladar against the Rangers?
No, I would stick with Wolf. Go with the percentages. It's Vladar has had his good games this year, but also a lot of bad games. I stick with the guy who has some Vezina kind of numbers behind his name.
I like that you skipped right over the Calder and went for the big guns.
It's, goalies just can't win the Calder. It just doesn't happen. So just go for the Hart and the Vezina instead, right?
We're going to look back at Steve Mason the way we look at Marc-Andre Fleury and Rick DiPietro going first overall in the draft. Lovely.
Yeah.
Good for you. Never happening again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wolf aside, who stood out to you most tonight?
It's, like I said, Connor Zary. I looked at his numbers too, and the Flames had 30 shot attempts at even strength with him on the ice, which is just bonkers for anyone on this roster. It's usually pretty close. So that line completely outplayed their counterparts tonight, which is really nice to see. We have not seen a lot of that, especially in March, and especially lacking, Michael Backlund in the lineup. So seeing the team being able to run up the shot count and the expected goal count against someone is refreshing. So as I said, I also really liked Coronado, especially sort of later in the game. He seemed to come on in the third when they were pushing, so that was nice. Those are the main two, I think, for me. How about you?
No, those were really good points, I thought, especially bringing up Backlund. We look at some of the areas where the Flames have had some troubles, kind of barring the Rangers game, places where they've had issues without Backlund. They were much better on faceoffs tonight. They were just about dead even. They were able to hold New Jersey scoreless on their 2 power play attempts while getting that power play goal. It was a pretty well-rounded effort kind of once they got things together after the first period, because they only had 5 shots. Again, we've seen the shots kind of depleting a little bit for Calgary since the turn of the calendar year, but they were able to crank that up, and they ended up with 12 high danger chances, which is not too bad for a team that hasn't been shooting that much.
Yeah, this Flames roster is pretty happy if they can get into the 12 to 15 high danger chance number every night. So that's pretty healthy.
Totally. And I actually want to take us, we're going to talk some more Flames in a bit here, but history made tonight. It involves a Calgary team. The U Sports U Cup kicked off in Ottawa today. How would you feel about playing 5 overtimes, Kent? Not 5 periods, 5 overtimes.
I wouldn't make it. I'm staying in the room, boys. Go win.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a heartbreaker for the Mount Royal Cougars men's team at their first ever appearance. It's at the U Sports National Championship. They fell 5-4 in quintuple overtime against the Toronto Metropolitan University Bold. Heartbreaker. They actually got a goal, and I think it was the third overtime. It might have been the second overtime, but it got called back. But that is a U Sports record. The previous longest game was in 2016 with Saskatchewan versus Carleton, and that was just over 56 minutes of overtime. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a long game.
And they got to play on Saturday now.
Oh, man.
Goodness gracious. I really hope the U Sports budget allows for Norma Tech pants for all.
Yeah, I'm sure they do too.
Have you tried those?
I haven't myself, no.
They are incredible.
Hmm.
If you ever get a chance to go out to the world's longest hockey game when they do that out in Airdrie, that's probably how these players felt tonight.
Yes.
After that much hockey, like you're on there for hours. The second game today got delayed by like 4 hours for this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I don't know, like those guys, like the ones who do the world's longest hockey game, they have like the Normatex and stuff to try to help people recover. Their feet will swell up so much. They have like second pairs of skates that are a size up. I'm sure that's how the Mount Royal Cougars feel tonight.
Yeah, they'll be exhausted.
Yeah, but still exciting for them. They do have they've had the player of the year, national player of the year 3 years in a row. It's defenseman Clay Honus this year. It was Connor Bouchard last year. It was Nolan Yaremko the year before that. So Mount Royal's been really trending up, and they play again on Saturday. So would love to see them get their first win at nationals. And of course, U Saskatchewan is out there as well, and they open things up against Queens tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck to them.
Yep. Wild stuff. Do you want to take the opportunity to thank our buddy Derek Newman for helping us keep the lights on here at Afterburner, even though none of you jerks will ever come hang out with me in the studio except for Gould, which I don't even know why, because he's scared.
He's scared of the studio, or is he scared of you?
Scared of getting flipped. It started as a nice flip, and now it's a fight, and now we're turning it into a wrestling and dunk tank special.
Okay.
So stay tuned. But thanks to Derek for helping make all of this possible. Buying or selling, you can let Derek do the work for you. You can find him at dnewman@cirrealty.ca, or you can call 403-619-6661. You can also find him at dereknewmangroup.com. He does it all from the complimentary in-home staging consultation, and whether it's your first home purchase or you've been in the game for a while, he's going to take the time to understand your goals and build the report on what things look like out in the market, how your home compares. And he can even go off grid and find homes that aren't even listed yet to hunt down options for buyers. So if you're interested in buying and selling in the greater Calgary area, you can call Derek at 403-619-6661, and he'll make it easy for you. Let Derek put his network to work for you, because the rest of us already work too hard already.
Agreed.
Totally. 14 Magic. Gould might go to Derek Newman for a restraining order on Cami. He might. He might. It's unfair. And even though I've technically flipped him once already, but it was off camera at the drinking show. I'm pretty sure he could cartwheel out of it if we really wanted to.
There was a drinking show?
Oh, yeah. It was in the later stages of it.
I see.
Although we were probably the two most sober people there.
Who was the drunkest, Pinder?
Is it a question?
You never know.
Yeah, no, Rhett was putting in an honest effort, though.
Yeah.
Actually, no, RJ. RJ.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Come from behind. Oh, a wild Pinder in the chat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, once Pinder got around to Boogie Wonderland, it was all over. All over. But we're talking about Calgary's playoffs hopes. We might as well take a look at what's ahead of them. We mentioned it last week. They have not gone more than 500 on an extended road trip, 3 games or more yet this season. They do have an opportunity to break that streak when they go to Long Island for the matinee on Saturday. They'll wrap it up with the matinee against the Islanders, who've actually been playing some pretty good hockey lately.
Yeah, how are they doing tonight?
They were up 3-2 last we saw.
3-3 now. Yeah.
3-3 now. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Man, this throws me off with the early starts. I like it when everything's kind of wrapped up at this point. We can really see what the implications are. But that'll wrap up the roadie, and then it's back home on Tuesday to host the Seattle Kraken. That'll be the 4th and final meeting this year between those teams. So Seattle has the series lead at 2-1. Every game decided by a single goal, 2 of those in overtime. They met most recently on February 9th. That's where Frost scored. It might have been, was that his first goal as a Flame?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, well, he scored and then the Kraken scored 3 straight. So
yeah,
that was that. Then Thursday at 7, you got the Dallas Stars in town. That's going to be a really exciting watch. Calgary has not beaten Dallas yet this season, but they did get to overtime earlier in March. But Robertson has kind of had Calgary's number this year. He's got a bunch of goals against them.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's surrounded by other good players too, so he can't really focus on him. When you can't, he scores on you.
Yeah, just a couple. Some of those first round matchups with the divisional format are going to be nuts this year. But Dallas also has 89 points right now to sit second in the Central. That takes us to Saturday the 29th, off to Edmonton for the final Battle of Alberta of the season. And it's been a long time since we've had one. It's tied at 1 apiece. Yeah, the critical matchup, biggest one here. So they haven't seen each other since November. Man, there's all this nonsense from the league about creating divisional rivalries and seeing more of these matches. And it's like, we have one Battle of Alberta in Calgary this year. In the first month when nothing matters.
But this game will matter probably a little bit for Edmonton, but probably a lot for the Flames. So it's going to be a good one.
I know. I think they're all going to say this is a big game on Money Puck, pretty much the home stretch here. But that wraps it up with another road match. That's March 31st against the Avalanche. All I will say is that I hope it goes better than last time. Not even from a Go Flames Go perspective, from a I want to watch an entertaining hockey game perspective.
Yeah, that would be nice. It's unfortunately the Avalanche have kind of been a nemesis for the Flames for off and on for a lot of years. So we'll see how they do this time.
Well, Calgary is the team that Colorado faced when they kind of had their coming out party as the buildup to the threat that they just are now. Everyone thought that Calgary was going to take them in that first round series when they won the West, and Cale Makar makes his NHL debut. And even though Colorado didn't necessarily go super deep in the playoffs, that was when they put the league on notice, and they've been a very different group ever since then. So the Flames and Avalanche are tied a little bit that way. And shout out to our buddy Keith. Thank you so much for helping out Youth Centers of Calgary. You didn't add a comment, though. Gotta give us some direction, man, or we're just gonna have to pump your tires here until it runs out. We appreciate you, Keith. But that is the next 5 games in the road ahead. So mentioned a little earlier, only 7 more home games for Calgary. That's where they've done their best work this year. 7 more road games, including the makeup against Los Angeles. That will be the regular season finale on April 17th. So absolutely no wiggle room left here.
Nope. Every game matters now.
Yeah. That's the good stuff. And the road ahead is brought to you by Platinum Mitsubishi, Calgary's #1 destination for the upgraded 2025 Outlander, the refreshed flagship 7-seat vehicle from Mitsubishi Motors. Gould revealed that he has never seen Children of the Corn, so when I yell Outlander at him, it just means nothing to him.
The first one, like the original? Because I know there's another one.
I know there's a bunch. There's a bunch.
Well, that was made like 20 years before he was born, so I don't blame him.
I know. But South Park also had a more recent, and by more recent, I mean like probably 20 years ago. Brady, watch Children of the Corn. It's camp. Camp. Well,
I actually tried to watch it again recently, and I got 10 minutes into it. I was like, I can't do it.
Once you get past the hand in the blender, it's fine. It's funny.
Really bad.
It's awful. That's why it's good.
Yeah.
The 2025 Outlander features the first ever vehicle audio system provided by the industry leaders at Yamaha. It also has brown leather seats, ventilated, so you can get the cooling front seats along with the heated front seats now. They got the big old touch screen with the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you can go hang out with them at the, or past now. Mike said that the Calgary Auto Show at the BMO Center went really well. Now the golf show has rolled in there, but you can get into the best backed cars in the country with the standard 10-year powertrain warranty at Platinum Mitsubishi, and you can go bug them at 2720 Barlow Trail Northeast here in Calgary. Sorry, I cut you off a bit there.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
All right. Well, also want to give Daniel Hauser his flowers because I don't think Pinder and Boom did a good enough job of that earlier today. I don't know. You can tell that someone has like had their player profile brought up for the first time. Very that. Calling you guys out. But Daniel Hauser with the Calgary Hitmen, all-time WHL wins leader, 123. He's lost 4 games since coming to Calgary. And a big part of that is his experience. I mean, he's been to the Eastern Conference Championship, the WHL final. And what's crazy about the wins, too, is that he's done it with the truncated schedule. In 2018, the WHL went down to 68 games instead of 72. And he started in the COVID bubble season, which had an even shorter schedule. So it was cool for him to get it done against the Red Deer Rebels. Almost had it against the Edmonton Oil Kings, but I think there was some suspicious defense in front of him, and it did not pan out that way. But it was fun. He took some scissors. Actually, his teammates snuck him scissors so that he could cut off a chunk of the net once the final buzzer went last night.
Good for him.
You want to know who the ringleader was?
You tell me.
Axel Hertig.
Oh.
I think the Flames prospect, the defenseman, he was I think the most excited person to see Hauser get it. He was peeking around the curtains the whole time that Hauser was doing his media availability. So he was doing well too. Hertig was doing well in that game as well.
He's a plus 37 this year.
He's doing all right. They're in Red Deer this weekend, and then they have their regular season finale at the Saddle Dome at 5:00 on Sunday. That's against Gavin McKenna and the Medicine Hat Tigers. That game is probably going to determine who wins the Central Division, who gets first seed in the Eastern Conference. The game is going to be free on YouTube, and all playoffs in the Dub are going to be free on Victory Plus now. So no blackouts. You just got to download the app and watch anywhere, any platform. Playoffs through to next regular season. So if you want to see wherever the Flames prospects are playing, like it's going to be that much easier to tune in now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be good. We'll head to some thoughts, questions, and concerns in a bit here. I see Dougie's here now, so let's just start with that because that is it's hard because you don't want to dump on a guy, but what is it going to take to get Sharangovich going? We would be in a comfortable playoff position with his goals. I mean, if we're going to criticize people for not scoring, there's a lot of people that could be included in that list, but Sharangovich is probably the most glaring one this season that it's been an issue for.
That's kind of been one of the biggest question marks of the year, right? He's played wing. He's played up and down the roster. He's been healthy scratched. He's now at center. And whatever mojo he had going last year seems to have completely evaporated. And whether he's playing hurt or whether it's in his head, I don't know what it'll take to break him out of the funk. There's been a couple of periods in the season where he's had a game or two where you think, okay, this kind of looks like the guy from last year. And then the next 5 games, he does nothing at all. So the problem with the player is he's not really great at any other part of the game. So when he's not skating well and he's not scoring, he's not really impacting. He's not really doing much. So if we knew the answer, I'm sure the coaches would take our phone call and happily listen to us. But I don't think they know either.
Man, when you say that, it sounds like the critique around Andrei Kuzmenko for quite some time. But as it stands now, 59 games for Sharangovich, 12 goals and 12 assists, which would put him on pace for one of his worst years offensively since making the NHL. But of course,
It's very, I'd say it's very similar to his last year in New Jersey, right? Like he had a good season, and then the next year in Jersey, he had a very similar stat line, and he was a healthy scratch in the playoffs. And that's kind of the player we're seeing this year for whatever reason.
Yeah, tough. You do have to wonder if there is anything lingering from the injury that held him out for some time, but you have to hope. I mean, there's an extension kicking in, so you have to hope that there's some, for the sake of the player as a person and for the sake of the team, that something gets going there. But he does end up -1 tonight with just over 14 minutes, so definitely on the lower end. That's less ice than Pospisil, and he missed a good chunk while they were checking him out.
That's right. Yep.
Kind of tough night overall for the former Devils.
That's true. Yeah, Ball did not have his best game.
No, but he's still done overall, I think, better than expected for a guy who, when he got traded for Markstrom, I think a lot of Flames fans said, who?
Yeah. Yeah, he's had to play over his head a little bit this year, but he's kind of the age where you hope he can kind of take that step. And it's been off and on. There's definitely been periods like games like this where it's like, oof. But there's been other periods where he looks extremely comfortable as a top 4D. So still a young guy, still has he could take some steps forward too.
Absolutely. And I have overall really liked that pairing of him and Anderson just tonight. Not the night.
Not so much yet.
Yeah. Oh, I see a band name I like jumping out in the chat. Yeah, we got Dracula from Houston in the chat. Still here from Houston. Still wondering what Bonton meats are like for barbecue. There's good barbecue in Calgary. Bonton meat slap, and the Butthole Surfers are your favorite band's favorite band. After you watch Children of the Corn, give Electric Larry Land a listen, but don't look at the cover art.
I'll take your word for it.
That's the best advice I can give you. All right, let's see. Do we have any other questions or concerns in the chat before we get to our Bet365 look at the game tomorrow? All right, from Ken, can this team really win a game in the first round, or are they just making a guest appearance? And as Daryl Sutter so famously said, waste of 8 days.
It's, can they win a game? Probably.
Yeah. I don't see any team there.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's getting swept this year.
Depends on the opponent too, to some degree, but yeah, this is not, I wouldn't bet my house on them winning the round. Let's put it that way. There's just not enough offense to speak of, but you do have a goalie who can steal games on occasion. So yeah, it's, you never know, but they're a long shot. Like if they make the playoffs, they're definitely going to be an underdog against whoever they face.
Actually, just kidding. If you took Vegas, it might be a sweep because I think they've shut out Calgary twice this year.
Yeah, just don't face Vegas.
Yeah, just good rule for
Avoid
everybody.
them. Yeah.
All right, and then we got one from Peter. If we got a top 2 or 3C and had a top 4 D in free agency, are we a playoff team for sure next year? Nothing is ever for sure.
No.
You know, 1 or 2 bad injuries could change everything, but this is also like talking about switching of like what, 10% of your lineup?
Yeah, and also the labels of 2C and 4D. There's a wide range of quality in that fuzzy sort of category, right? So it's the Flames need stars to take real steps forward. They don't need more sort of middle rotation, even good middle rotation guys. It's the reason adding Frost and Farabee did not change the fortunes of this team. Right? Those are fine players, and they might get better because they're younger, but it didn't drastically change the makeup of this roster, nor did they suddenly get much better. Right? So adding another sort of 3C doesn't move the needle. Another 4D. Not really. You're bumping Hanley out maybe, and okay, so that pairing's maybe slightly better, but no, you need stars. You need legitimate stars to make this team better.
Yeah, because what you've got right now is a very good supporting cast.
Yeah, you got a lot of supporting players. You got some guys who are starting to age out. I don't know how long Michael Backlund can be the tough minutes matchup on the team. Blake Coleman is in his last year next year, so it's how long can Kadri score 25 goals in his mid 30s? It's issues like that. So it's just there's some natural attrition that will happen to the roster, and yeah, to make real steps forward, you need legitimately superstar players.
Yeah, and I think 14 Magic put it pretty well in the chat. Frost and Farabee are placeholder type players. I think we've got a lot of that going on. We have some, in particular, defensemen who are, to be fair, doing a serviceable job holding down a spot that they wouldn't have on a contending NHL team, but you're kind of holding it down, waiting for these guys like a Zane Parekh to be able to take that next step and be in the NHL full time. So we're seeing a little bit of that at all positions right now, but waiting for that star player. I saw another one from Brady there. Can Wolf be a thorn like Ottinger was to Calgary in 2022? There's a grand history of goaltenders coming out of nowhere. Jordan Binnington is a great example. My favorite example, kind of the opposite though. It's a veteran who popped off, but Yaroslav Halak with Montreal in 2010 was one of my favorite goaltender, dragging his team through it, along with former Flame, forever a Flame, Mike Camilleri. That was awesome.
J.S. Shiger way back in the day for the Anaheim Ducks. That was bonkers too. Every so often, yep, it happens. And even Mika Kiprusoff did it here in Calgary, right? So, yeah, cross your fingers, maybe, but weirder things have happened, I suppose.
For sure, for sure. Let's take a look at the games. I love how we have one game on a Friday and there's like almost every team playing on Saturday, but the electric marquee matchup, the Blue Jackets, the Penguins.
Yeah, not a lot of people jumping up and down about that matchup, I don't think. The Blue Jackets do have something to play for. They're kind of in the mix for the final spot. So the Penguins are completely cooked. They've got a -50 goal differential. They're playing out the string, but neither team has been good in the last 10 games. So it's kind of, do you bet on the team that actually needs the win? Maybe.
Say they're hungry.
They should be, yeah. But I think they have 3 wins in the last 10. So it's, yeah, not that good.
4 to their credit. It's 4-6-0, whole other ball. Oh, better than the Flyers, 2-7-1.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, that's pretty rancid actually, but that is it is what it is. All you can do is laugh and enjoy some hockey and watch the race. But that's coming through from our buddies at Bet365. Every face-off, hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. We all know that whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, the official partner of the NHL. Download the app today and use code NATION to get in on the game. Gotta be 19 or older and always play responsibly. Does not apply to the Flames decor, does apply to people taking part in sports betting.
Indeed.
Indeed. All right. Anything else you want to hit before we call it a night?
Nope. It's just now we just gotta hang on for the ride and the rest of the season here, I think.
Yeehaw. See all the Cook Connie Cook in the comments there. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I mean, and go find a Pinder at the ship if you want to get into one on a Thursday night. But that's about all she wrote. But it was another exciting, I shouldn't say another. It was exciting
2 in a row.
comeback game. Yeah, 5-3 against the New Jersey Devils to keep the Flames in the race. Dustin Wolf shines again. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight, everybody. Thanks for your questions, your comments, your mess in the chat there. And we'll see you again soon. Have a good one.